Of course, my father was married to the wonderful Pat, and she brought her own 3 sons into our family, and so I'd like for Glenn and Greg and Gary to come up and offer their thoughts about my father. And looks like you're up first, Glenn.
I'd like to take you back a ways. At first, I knew Neil as a competitor. We were in the boat business together. My dad had Steve's Marine, and Neil, of course, was in San Lorenzo. We sold Mercury Motors, and he sold Evinrude's, and so we were competitors at first. And so, getting to know him at boat shows and stuff in the beginning, and then as my mother and him became a pair, it was quite a change, and he was always real helpful to me with advice in my business and such, and a real pleasure to have him be the husband to my mother, and a good one that he was, and a good family man, and you can see by the group here, I was always impressed, even when we had his 90th birthday party, the love and the support that he had from you guys, and it's a testimony to him and to you and to his family.
Glenn, or
Here comes Brother Greg.
Okay. Thank you. I'm Greg. I'm the middle son. When I first started going up to Strawberry, when they first moved up there, kind of to earn my keep, I had to go out and chop wood, and I didn't know how to do it. And Neil taught me how to do that. Neil could be a gruff son of a gun if he wanted to be. He was always testing us. At the time, it was kind of offensive, but what he was really doing was just, that was his way of conversing with us. You know, kind of testing us, asking, what do you do? What are you really going to do? When are you going to get a real job? And, you know, so he could be gruff, but he had a really nice, he had a big heart, and he could be a nice guy. And took a while to find that, but I'm glad I did. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Gary. I'm the youngest. And I'm going to start by reading something that my father wrote because he wasn't able to make it here today. Neil and I were friends. We competed in the same businesses, hobby shop, sporting goods, boat and yacht sales. In the 40-plus years, we challenged each other in every way we could. By a quirk of fate, he became the second father to my 3 sons when he married Pat. He respected them, and my 3 sons benefited from their life together. We did some crazy stuff along the way and had lots of fun doing it. He and I started the Northern California Boat Dealers Association in the late 60s. We helped them become a very successful association for all of the Northern California boat dealers. Looking back, I'm sorry we missed a few opportunities to enjoy more of each other's company. Neil was a good person with a great sense of humor and a little stubborn at times. Before Neil left us, I had a chance to speak with him on the phone. And it came up that he was going to pass off before me, so I asked him to save me a place at the bar. He said he would, so sometime in the future, I'm sure we will meet again. I feel lucky and happy that Neil was a part of my life. Best regards from Steve and Irene. Neil did have a sense of humor, but to say he was a little stubborn is like saying the sky's a little bit blue here today. And I first met Neil, I was probably 5 or 6 years old. We would go to the hobby store, we would rent snowmobiles and stuff, so I don't really remember him from then. stubborn, but that's just the way I would ask my mom, well, why is he saying this? Why is he doing that? And it's to test you, just to test your mettle. And I'm stubborn, and I put him to the test, and believe me, I knew I was no match for him. And as far as stubbornness goes, he was the master there. But I would sometimes use that to my advantage. And at one time, I got the idea that I could probably get him and my mom to take me and my buddies and drop us off camping. And he was stubborn enough to know that he wouldn't want us to do that, but he didn't want to let that out. He wanted to be cool. He wanted us to work. You know, back then we didn't have this term, but we were a blended family. And I got him to agree to take me and my friend David and a couple other friends, and they dropped us off by Yosemite for a few days. And back then we wanted to have music, so I meticulously recorded songs off the radio. And just regular songs you could put onto a cassette tape. And one of you may have heard on earlier when we were playing this one, Took Over the Line. So my buddy and I were up at the campsite or whatever, we're playing this rock music and having a good time, and all of a sudden the music stops. And it's Neil, and he's saying, "Hey Gary, did you find those worms I put in your sleeping bag yet?" Ha 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 ha. And he had pilfered my whole tape, and he had listened to this music. Do you remember that? And so that was his sense of humor. So I kind of realized what it was I was up against. He would make me work and do things, and especially up in Strawberry, I learned to chop wood, and he would make us do things. It was actual work. And one day we were up there, and he said, you know, grab the crowbar and the hammer and meet me at the truck, and we're going to go to Pinecrest. What are we going to do today? And so we go over to Pinecrest, and there's a big truck there with a flatbed, and what are we doing? And we go over and we jack up this building, and it's not a big building, but it's a shed. We jack this thing up, and we park this flatbed truck on it, let it down, and we drive away with this building. So by the end of the day, I had learned how to move a building, and he ended up opening Sierra Village video out of this building that the Forest Service gave him if he paid to move it. So when I think back on being 14 and 15, and again, I was that teenage stubbornness. I wasn't going to go along with the ride, and I made him work for that, but I kind of look back and realize, you know, I did learn how to chop the wood and how to stack the wood and how to run a chainsaw and how to drive a snowmobile and how to move houses. I mean, there's all these things I learned, and there was a lot of respect that we had for each other, but it wasn't easy early on. But yeah, he did make us do quite a few things, and we had a lot of great fun up there. But it was always through work, and the entrepreneurship just always rang true. And Neil was a father to me, and I learned a lot, and I realized I'm who I am because of a lot of that great influence. And I didn't appreciate it early on, believe me. We didn't always get along, but we always respected each other, and later on we did become very, very close. And he was a wonderful father to me and a grandfather, and again, a definite great husband to my mom. So we miss him greatly, but he's definitely very well remembered.
Thanks, Gary.